Every man and woman carries within them a secret blueprint. That blueprint is drawn not on paper, but in thought. And the truth is simple: you become exactly what you think about. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The greatest discovery of our age is not found in laboratories, nor in the farthest reaches of space. It is the discovery that we become exactly what we think about. Everything we achieve, or fail to achieve, traces back to the images and beliefs we allow to take root in our minds. Think of your mind as fertile soil. Whatever seed you plant, whether corn or thistle, will grow in abundance. If you plant thoughts of success, courage, and purpose, your life will blossom accordingly. If you plant doubt, fear, and limitation, then weeds will choke your progress. The soil does not choose. It gives back exactly what you sow. The wisest men in history have echoed this truth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's life is what his thoughts make of it." Emerson declared, "You become what you think about all day long." And it remains just as true today as when those words were first spoken. Here lies the secret to a new life. By controlling your thoughts, you control your destiny. No man is a prisoner of circumstance. He is a prisoner only of his thinking. If you believe you are capable, you will find a way. If you believe you are defeated, you will be. It cannot be otherwise. Let us put this truth into practical steps first. Decide clearly what you want. A goal, well defined, is the compass of your thoughts. Second, picture yourself already in possession of it. Hold that image firmly and return to it daily. Third, act in harmony with your vision. Your actions will rise to meet the level of your dominant thought. And finally, guard your mind. Refuse entry to destructive, small, or fearful ideas. Your mind is your kingdom. Only you may decide who is allowed to rule it. Remember this central truth: you become exactly what you think about. If you think about abundance, you will attract abundance. If you think about courage, you will act with courage. If you think about service, you will find opportunities to serve. And if you think about failure, fear, or defeat, they too will arrive, because thought is creative. Every great achievement in history began first as an invisible seed planted in the soil of the mind. A towering building, a vast empire, a groundbreaking invention, even a fulfilled and purposeful life, all were once only thoughts, fragile and unseen. A seed is small, almost insignificant to the eye, yet it carries within it the entire blueprint of what it is destined to become. In the same way, a thought seems fleeting, weightless, but it carries within it the shape and substance of your future. What you hold in your mind consistently and with conviction will eventually take form in the world around you, just as surely as the oak tree emerges from the acorn. Consider the farmer who looks across his field. He understands that the soil itself does not choose what grows. It will return whatever seed is given faithfully and without judgment. If he plants corn, he will reap corn. If he plants thistles, then thistles will overrun the field. He knows that the soil is generous, but it is also impartial. It responds only to what is sound. Your mind is no different. It is the most fertile and powerful soil you will ever possess, and what you choose to plant there, whether noble or destructive, will be returned to you multiplied. This is not a matter of luck or chance. It is law. Most people wander through life unaware of this truth. They allow random seeds to drift into their minds, seeds of doubt, fear, envy, limitation. They listen to the voices of the crowd, absorb the worries of others, and wonder why their lives are filled with weeds. Yet those who understand the principle guard their minds as carefully as a farmer guards his field. They plant deliberately, with purpose, choosing thoughts of courage, growth, service, and abundance. And as surely as spring follows winter, their harvest arrives in due time. The beauty of this principle is that it places control directly into your hands. You need not wait for permission, nor depend on circumstance. You are the farmer of your own destiny. Every idea you dwell upon is a seed dropped into the soil of tomorrow. Hold a vision of health, and you will begin to move in harmony with it. Dwell upon wealth, and you will find yourself noticing opportunities you once overlooked. Think often of kindness, and your actions will naturally mirror that thought. There is no mystery in this, for what the mind continually feeds upon, it becomes. This is why the greatest thinkers of history warned us to watch our thoughts with the same care we give to our actions. For thoughts precede actions, and actions build habits, and habits shape destiny. What you are today is the result of yesterday's planting, and what you will become tomorrow is determined by the seeds you are planting right now in the soil of your own mind. Your mind is like the richest soil on earth, a ground so fertile that it will bring forth whatever is planted within it. The soil makes no judgment, no distinction between good seed and bad. It will return in kind exactly what is sound, multiplied many times over. If you sow the seeds of positive, creative, and purposeful thought, you will reap a harvest of growth, opportunity, and fulfillment. If you sow seeds of fear, doubt, or resentment, you will reap a harvest of anxiety, limitation, and failure. The soil is impartial, yet it is unfailingly generous, and it gives back to you with complete accuracy the fruit of the seeds you have chosen. This truth has been taught for centuries, though many still overlook it. The great Stoics wrote of the power of the inner life. The scriptures remind us that, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, and modern psychology confirms the same principle, that what the mind dwells upon it magnifies. Your mind does not rest, it is constantly producing results from the thoughts you feed it. Just as a farmer who neglects his field will find weeds overtaking his crops, a mind left unattended will be overtaken by negativity, fears, and the idle chatter of the world. The wise individual takes control of the planting and tends his mental garden with vigilance. Think of a person who feeds his mind daily with thoughts of failure, worry, and complaint. He wakes in the morning thinking of his problems, he speaks words of discouragement throughout the day, and he imagines only obstacles ahead. What can such a man expect but a life that reflects those very conditions? His mind, being fertile soil, takes those seeds and brings them into reality, shaping his behavior, influencing his decisions, and attracting circumstances that match his inner state. Contrast him with another who chooses to feed his mind thoughts of courage, gratitude, and vision. He fills his mornings with expectation, he speaks words that uplift, and he pictures himself overcoming. His mind, too, produces accordingly, leading him toward opportunities, ideas, and people who align with his positive planting. The principle is not selective, nor is it reserved for the few. It is universal. The soil does not ask who you are, it simply returns what is given. Each of us at every moment is planting seeds into this vast field of mind. Our results in life, our successes and failures, our joys and sorrows, are nothing more than the inevitable harvest of the seeds we have sown. To change the harvest, we must change the planting. To change what grows, we must change what we feed the soil. This is why it is essential to be mindful of what enters the mind. The books we read, the conversations we entertain, the images we dwell upon, and the words we repeat to ourselves are all seeds. Each carries within it the power to shape what grows in our lives. Feed your mind ideas of abundance, courage, and purpose, and it will grow them as surely as the soil grows the seed entrusted to it. No man can rise above the limits he sets in his own thinking, for belief is the ceiling of achievement and the silent architect of destiny. A person may possess talent, skill, and opportunity, yet if his beliefs confine him to a narrow vision of himself, he will never reach beyond that boundary. The mind, like a compass, always points us back toward the direction of our convictions. If you believe you are capable of greatness, you will find the strength to pursue it. If you believe you are destined to struggle, you will unconsciously act in ways that confirm that belief. The power of belief is so profound that it shapes not only how we see the world, but how the world responds to us. Think of a man who has all the tools for success placed in his hands. He is given knowledge, resources, and opportunity, yet he secretly holds the thought, "I am not worthy, I cannot do it." That hidden belief will sabotage his efforts at every turn. He will hesitate when he should act, doubt when he should persist, and retreat when he should advance. His belief becomes a chain around his potential, binding him to mediocrity despite every external advantage. On the other hand, another man with fewer resources but a deep conviction that he can and will succeed will rise above circumstance. His belief fuels his persistence, sharpens his vision, and attracts the people and opportunities he needs. What one man calls impossible, the other proves inevitable, simply because of the difference in belief. History gives us countless examples. Every breakthrough in science, every leap in human progress, every bold venture began with someone who believed it could be done, often in the face of ridicule and doubt from others. The Wright brothers believed man could fly when most of the world dismissed the idea as absurd. Edison believed light could be harnessed, and despite thousands of failures, he pressed on until his belief became reality. These men were not free of obstacles, they were free of limiting beliefs. Their faith in possibility carried them beyond what others accepted as the final word. Belief is the foundation of all action. A man who believes in his ability to grow will find learning a joy. A man who believes he cannot change will ignore opportunities to better himself. Beliefs are the silent governors of behavior. They dictate whether we stretch or shrink, whether we persist or quit, whether we see doors or only walls. No law of life is more exacting than this. You cannot outperform your own beliefs. This truth carries with it both a warning and a promise. The warning is that limiting beliefs will confine you, no matter your talent or circumstances. The promise is that by changing what you believe about yourself and your possibilities, you change the scope of your entire life. When a man dares to believe more, he begins to live more, and the world unfolds in proportion to the vision he holds of himself. The world you see around you is not separate from the world you hold within your mind. Circumstances, whether favorable or unfavorable, are a reflection of your most persistent thoughts. Just as a mirror reflects the image before it without distortion, life reflects the images you carry in your inner world. A man who believes the world is hostile and unkind will find evidence of hostility wherever he goes, while the man who believes in opportunity and abundance discovers opportunities waiting for him in places others overlook. The external world bends itself to the shape of the internal one, for thought precedes circumstance as surely as the seed precedes the harvest. Many wonder why misfortune seems to follow them, why obstacles appear at every turn, and why success eludes them despite their efforts. The answer often lies not in the world itself, but in the thoughts they harbor most consistently. A person who constantly entertains ideas of failure, lack, and fear unconsciously makes decisions and takes actions that align with those thoughts. His words, his posture, his very presence carry the weight of his beliefs, and life responds accordingly. On the other hand, an individual who fills his mind with thoughts of progress, growth, and victory will act in harmony with those ideas. He will notice opportunities others miss, attract people who share his energy, and step into circumstances that mirror his optimism. It is a law of life that like attracts like, not merely in relationships but in conditions. The man who continually thinks of illness often finds himself unwell, while the one who thinks of health and vigor seems to draw strength to himself. The man who thinks constantly of poverty makes choices that keep him bound to lack, while the one who thinks of wealth and service attracts means and methods to achieve it. Life gives us not what we idly wish for, but what we consistently think about and believe to be true. This principle is not mysterious. It is simply the way the mind and world interact. Your thoughts shape your attitude shapes your actions, and your actions shape the circumstances you experience. A negative inner world leads to careless or fearful action, which brings about negative results. A positive inner world inspires confident and creative action, which leads to favorable results. Circumstances are not accidents, they are the natural outworking of the dominant thoughts of yesterday. The great truth is that no man is doomed by his current situation, for circumstances can be altered by changing the pattern of thought that produced them. If you change your thinking, you change your world. If you persist in new, higher thoughts, life will gradually mirror them back to you in the form of new opportunities, new relationships, and new conditions. Circumstances do not control you, they reveal you. The outer world is the looking glass of the inner world, and it reflects with perfect accuracy the thoughts you hold most persistently in the theater of your own mind. Success begins not in the hands or in the pocket, but in the quiet workshop of the imagination. Every great achievement you see around you, every invention that has shaped civilization, every fortune ever built, and every breakthrough that has lifted humanity to new heights first existed only in someone's mind. The airplane was once only a dream in the vision of two brothers who refused to listen to the voices of impossibility. The light bulb, which now seems so common, was first the faint picture in the imagination of a man who endured thousands of failures before it burned brightly in reality. Skyscrapers, railroads, medicines, art, and technology, none of these were stumbled upon by accident. They were first constructed as images in thought before they were ever hammered, forged, or built in the physical world. Imagination is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, the formless and the formed. Whatever a man can consistently picture in his mind, he can bring into being through persistence and belief. This is why it is said that man is limited only by the size of his vision. The world has always belonged to those who dared to imagine more than what was already in front of them. The masses accept the present as final, but the dreamers, the visionaries, see the present only as a stepping stone toward what can be. Success is not born from circumstance or luck. It is born from the pictures we hold in imagination and the courage to pursue them until they take form. Yet imagination is often neglected or underestimated. Many spend their days repeating the same pictures of doubt, fear, or limitation, never realizing they are using the same powerful faculty that could be employed to create growth, abundance, and new possibilities. The mind cannot help but project into the future whatever images it is given. Feed it visions of defeat, and life will move in that direction. Feed it visions of progress, achievement, and service, and the same law will lead you toward their fulfillment. Imagination is a tool, and like all tools, it must be guided and used with intention. Every man and woman possesses this gift. The difference lies not in who has imagination, but in how it is directed. The great achievers in history chose to discipline their imagination, holding steadfastly to a clear and definite picture of what they sought, long before it was visible to others. They understood that to picture a thing vividly and often is to give it life, and to hold that picture with faith is to invite all of one's resources to work toward it. Success begins in imagination, but it does not end there. Imagination must be joined with action, perseverance, and belief. A vision alone is a dream, but a vision pursued becomes reality. The man who dares to imagine greatly and then moves toward that picture with unwavering determination is the man who discovers that life itself yields to the power of a well-directed imagination. Your mind is your most valuable possession, more precious than gold or jewels, for within it lies the power to shape every detail of your destiny. A man may lose his wealth and regain it. He may lose his position and earn another, but if he loses command of his own mind, he has lost the very key to freedom and success. Just as a wise man would guard a treasure chest against thieves, so must you guard your mind against the countless influences that would rob you of clarity, purpose, and strength. For the mind is not only the seat of thought, it is the workshop in which the future is built. Whatever is allowed to enter and take root there will, in time, appear in the circumstances of your life. Each day, without awareness, most people permit an endless stream of ideas, opinions, fears, and doubts from the world around them to enter their minds. They listen to negativity, they dwell upon limitation, they entertain gossip, and they allow the worries of others to settle into their own thinking. These influences, though subtle, act like seeds. Left unchecked, they grow into patterns of thought that weaken resolve, drain ambition, and cloud vision. The man who fails to guard his mind will always wonder why life seems difficult, never realizing that his greatest adversary is not the world, but the thoughts he has allowed to govern him. Guarding the mind begins with awareness. You must become watchful of what you read, what you hear, what you dwell upon, for every input is shaping the soil of your consciousness. A single thought, repeated often enough, becomes belief, and belief becomes the compass by which you steer. If you are careless with what enters, you risk handing the direction of your life over to chance, or worse, to those whose interests are not your own. But if you are deliberate, choosing to feed your mind with ideas of growth, achievement, and abundance, you align yourself with the highest possibilities life can offer. Consider how carefully a banker guards a vault of money, how meticulously a jeweler protects a diamond. Shouldn't your mind be treated with even greater care? For money can be lost and regained, diamonds can be stolen and replaced, but the thoughts you allow to dominate your mind determine the quality of every experience, relationship, and achievement you will ever know. When you guard your mind, you are, in truth, guarding your future. This is why the most successful men and women throughout history have been careful students of thought. They chose their influences wisely. They surrounded themselves with ideas, people, and environments that reinforced the vision they held for themselves. They understood that the mind is a magnet, and what is impressed upon it with intensity and consistency will inevitably be expressed in life. To guard your mind, then, is to guard your destiny, for the thoughts you allow to dwell within it are the architects of the life you are building each day. Repetition is the silent sculptor of the mind, shaping reality with each thought entertained again and again. A single idea, when held only briefly, may pass without consequence, but when it is repeated daily, it becomes etched into the fabric of consciousness. The mind, like soft clay, takes the impression of what is pressed upon it most often. In time, these repeated impressions harden into habits of thought, and those habits, invisible though they may seem, determine the direction and outcome of a life. A man does not become what he occasionally thinks about, he becomes what he thinks about consistently, what he allows to take root through the power of repetition. Consider how skill is developed in any field. The pianist does not master the instrument by striking the keys once, nor does the athlete excel by practicing on occasion. It is through steady, deliberate repetition that excellence is formed. The same law governs the mind. A thought repeated becomes belief, and a belief sustained becomes reality. If you repeat to yourself ideas of strength, ability, and purpose, they will become part of your character. If you repeat ideas of weakness, limitation, and fear, they too will shape who you are. The mind accepts as true whatever it hears most often, whether spoken aloud or silently within. Every man is, therefore, training his mind day by day through the repetition of his dominant thoughts. Most people do this unconsciously. They rehearse the same worries, repeat the same doubts, and speak the same words of discouragement until these become the very structure of their inner world, and then they wonder why their circumstances mirror those thoughts. But the wise man uses repetition deliberately. He selects the kind of ideas he wishes to build into his life, and he reinforces them daily until they grow strong enough to direct his actions and shape his destiny. This is why affirmations, visualizations, and the consistent dwelling upon worthy goals are so powerful. They are not mere words or idle daydreams, they are the tools by which the subconscious mind is impressed. The subconscious, in turn, works tirelessly to bring into reality the pattern it has been given. Life itself bends toward the direction of repeated thought, just as water wears a channel in stone through constant flow. It is not the dramatic effort of a single day that builds a life, but the quiet persistence of repeated thought and action over time. The mind grows accustomed to whatever is fed to it most often, just as the body grows accustomed to the food it is given. The man who feeds his mind daily with courage becomes courageous. The one who feeds his mind with gratitude becomes content, and the one who repeats visions of success, service, and abundance will find his life gradually reflecting those very qualities. Repetition is the builder of belief, and belief is the builder of reality, for the future belongs always to the thoughts rehearsed most faithfully in the theater of the mind. What matters most in a man's life is not where he stands at this very moment, but in what direction his thoughts are aimed. Too many people measure themselves by present conditions, by their income, their surroundings, or the obstacles before them, forgetting that every great success story began from humble or even desperate beginnings. The seed of change is not in circumstance, but in the vision a man holds of himself and the persistence with which he moves toward it. A poor man who steadily thinks and works toward wealth will, in time, find himself in possession of it, while a wealthy man who continually entertains thoughts of decline and failure will just as surely see his fortune slip away. It is the direction of thought that charts the course of destiny. Imagine a ship leaving harbor. Its position at the moment of departure matters little compared to the heading set upon its compass. If the captain has fixed his course, he will arrive at the destination regardless of whether the ship began in calm waters or storm. The man without a direction, however, even if he starts in favorable conditions, will drift aimlessly and never arrive. So it is with thought. Where your thinking is aimed will carry you far beyond present circumstances. Your current condition is nothing more than the result of past thinking, but your future will be shaped by the direction you now choose. Every man faces setbacks, challenges, and limitations, yet history is filled with examples of those who rose above them because their thoughts pointed upward and forward. Lincoln began in a log cabin, Edison with little formal education, Carnegie in poverty. They did not measure themselves by where they stood but by the vision they held. They directed their minds toward achievement, and circumstances gradually rearranged themselves to align with that direction. The secret is not to lament where you are, but to decide firmly where you are going. It is easy to become discouraged by present conditions. A man may look at his bank account, his health, or his surroundings and conclude that little can be done. Yet this is an error, for condition is only temporary. It is the residue of yesterday's planting. Direction is the creative force. What you steadily hold in your mind, aim toward with determination, and support with consistent action will, in due time, alter the landscape of your life. To fix your thoughts on the goal rather than the obstacle is to set your ship's compass firmly on its course. This truth places every man in control of his destiny. You need not be defined by where you are, for that is merely the starting point. What defines you is the direction of your dominant thoughts. If they are fixed on growth, progress, and contribution, no present difficulty can prevent you from reaching them. Life always yields to the man who knows where he is going, for it is not condition that matters, but direction, fear, and doubt are the most cunning of thieves, robbing men not of possessions but of potential. They steal silently, not in the marketplace or in the home, but in the secret chambers of the mind. A man may be strong, gifted, and filled with opportunity, yet if fear and doubt are allowed to dwell in his thinking, he will be held back as surely as if shackled by chains. They do not strike from outside, they gain entrance only by invitation, and once admitted they weaken resolve, cloud judgment, and paralyze action. Fear whispers that you are not capable, that the task is too great, that failure is certain. Doubt suggests that your vision is unrealistic, that others are more deserving, that the effort is wasted. Left unchecked, these voices grow louder until a man surrenders his dream before he has even begun. And yet, the remarkable truth is that fear and doubt have no power of their own. They live only on the attention you give them. When ignored, they fade away like shadows under the rising sun. When believed, they loom like giants and dictate the course of life. Consider how many lives have been diminished not by actual limitations but by imagined ones. The man who never attempts because he fears failure is already defeated, while the one who dares in spite of fear discovers courage in the very act of moving forward. Doubt has prevented more men from starting than failure ever stopped. It is not the obstacle on the path that destroys ambition, but the thought in the mind that says the obstacle cannot be overcome. Fear and doubt rob not by force but by persuasion, convincing the individual to hand over his birthright of possibility. History shows us that those who achieved greatness were not free of fear or doubt. They simply refused to let them take residence in their minds. The soldier on the battlefield feels fear but marches forward. The inventor faces doubt when failure comes 1,000 times but persists until success is born. The leader hears criticism and ridicule but holds fast to his vision. These men understood that fear and doubt are part of the human experience, but they need not become the rulers of thought. By refusing them space in the mind, they denied them the power to rob. Guarding against fear and doubt requires vigilance. It means choosing thoughts of courage, faith, and possibility even when circumstances seem uncertain. It means remembering that every great success was once only a fragile idea pursued in the presence of fear and doubt. When you recognize these intruders for what they are, thieves of imagination and destroyers of vision, you can deny them entry and replace them with thoughts that build rather than break. For fear and doubt can take nothing from you unless you first surrender your thinking to them, and the man who holds firm in thought holds secure the treasures of his destiny. You become what you think about most of the time, for the mind shapes itself around its most persistent images and ideas. What you hold in thought you invite into your life, and what you dwell upon with consistency, you eventually become. This principle is as certain as the law of gravity, and yet most people move through life unaware that their thinking is the very architect of their destiny. A man who continually thinks of limitation, failure, and discouragement will inevitably find those conditions reflected in his circumstances, while one who fixes his mind on growth, success, and contribution will discover that life arranges itself in harmony with that vision. The mind cannot remain idle. It is always at work shaping beliefs, directing actions, and influencing results. Just as a compass needle points unfailingly north, the mind points toward its dominant thoughts and steers the individual in that direction. If those thoughts are vague, negative, or unworthy, the course of life will reflect confusion and struggle. If those thoughts are clear, positive, and noble, the path will reveal progress and fulfillment. The difference is not in chance or fortune, but in the focus of the mind. Every man is given the same power of choice over his thinking. At every moment, he decides what to allow his mind to dwell upon. The successful man does not waste his thinking on trifles or fears. He disciplines himself to hold firmly to a worthy goal. He pictures it, he believes in it, and he returns to it daily until it becomes the central point of his thought. His actions then rise in harmony with that vision, and his life unfolds accordingly. The unsuccessful man, by contrast, allows his mind to wander without direction. He thinks often of his problems, he rehearses his worries, and he permits himself to drift. His life, too, follows in harmony with his thoughts, though not in the way he desires. This truth explains why two men in the same circumstances can live such different lives. One sees obstacles and thinks of defeat. The other sees the same obstacles and thinks of opportunity. The first becomes paralyzed, the second grows stronger. The conditions may be identical, but the outcomes differ because each man has chosen a different object of thought. The world does not give us what we idly wish for. It gives us what we think about most of the time. Fix your mind on a single worthy goal, and everything within you will begin to align with it. Your energy, your creativity, and your decisions will rise to meet it. Life will bring people, circumstances, and resources into your path that reflect the direction of your dominant thought. For just as surely as the body becomes what it is fed, the life becomes what the mind is fed, and you become inescapably what you think about most of the time. The truth has been before us all along. We become exactly what we think about. Our thoughts are seeds, and the mind is fertile soil, ready to return in kind whatever is planted within it. We cannot rise higher than our beliefs, for they set the limits of our achievement, and the world around us reflects with precision the inner images we hold most consistently. Success begins not in circumstance but in imagination, and the mind, like a treasure chest, must be guarded with care, for repetition shapes reality and direction determines destiny. Fear and doubt are the thieves that can rob us only when we grant them entry, and the life we experience will always follow the harmony of our most dominant thoughts. So the challenge is clear and simple. Fix your mind deliberately on a single worthy goal. Plant seeds of courage, persistence, and service. Feed them daily with belief and repetition. Guard them from fear and doubt. Then act in harmony with the vision you hold. In time, Your life will reflect it, for no law of life is more certain or more generous than this. You will surely become what you think about.